Bene, buongiorno a tutti.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us here. I'd like to thank Under Secretary Le Pietra and the President of the Italian Trade Agency, Ms. Zobbasa, for opening this exhibition fair. This is a very successful exhibition where much can be learned. Well, permit me to pose two questions, preliminary questions to Undersecretary Le Pietra, two very simple questions. We've discussed lots of things. Well, a lot of North African and Middle Eastern countries base their economy on investments in the field of raw material, with a special reference to energy. However, and above all after the COVID pandemic, the sector of agriculture machinery and the sector of agriculture can confer social and economic stability to local populations. What can we do to take agriculture to the center stage of the Mediterranean political agenda? So, this is the first question. This is the first question after a very short preamble. Well, the answer can be complex, articulated, but I'll try to be brief. I'll try to synthesize. No doubt that for all of us, agriculture is a pillar in the Italian economy. We changed the name of the ministry, calling it food sovereignty. Because apart from Italy, when food sovereignty is guaranteed everywhere in the world, it means that there is freedom. There is also the possibility of being independent with respect to other systems. We've seen that, unfortunately, the war in Ukraine showed that the system applied by the European Commission so far, well, we can a system which is based on the imports from other countries. Well, that system doesn't work because a deep economic crisis can involve each and every one. This is why food sovereignty is important, not only from the food point of view, but also energy sovereignty is crucial. But from that, I think that Italy plays a major role in the European policies, also for its geographical position, because Italy is in the heart of the Mediterranean area. It's a peninsula in the middle of the Mediterranean, and Italy bridges North African countries with European coasts. This is why it is important to develop a policy which is geared onto the Mediterranean needs, which, according to me, has not been the case with European Union, because European Union has always been oriented towards other countries and towards other agricultural systems which are not peculiar to our area. I'm also referring to the fisheries, the fisheries sector, which is affected by European policies and by European systems which are not those of the Mediterranean area. President Meloni, the Italian Prime Minister, is meeting authorities at international levels. Well, I think that what we are experiencing here today, and my congratulations on the organizers, because I believe that what you're doing today here, you can help and support the Italian agriculture with the agriculture machinery, but also because today we can establish fruitful exchanges with Mediterranean countries for a fruitful collaboration. We don't want to apply We don't want to exploit Mediterranean countries, but we want to base our approach on collaboration with Mediterranean countries, because collaboration is key to development in North African countries, but also for our companies. My second question, which is important for us, especially for agricultural machinery manufacturers. Well, agriculture is acquiring a strategic role for the economy of our country. And then agriculture is experiencing an epoch-making shift in terms of advanced technology. And it is important to spread and disseminate technology. And the spreading of technology is based on funds and funding. Well, I'd like to know from you about funding, about funds. Well, we know the funds which can be allocated. They are not too much. It is also for. So what about the state of play, the state of the art with the funding from the government? Well, the government is making huge investments in agriculture. You mentioned the funds earmarked by the National Resilience Recovery Plan, 400 million euros for the modernization of oil mills, which is also a very important topic here for Apulia. We've also established the Innovation Fund with 150 million euros. Allow me to say that by the end of October, the call will be launched by ESMA in order to ease and in order to speed up the possibility of allocating these resources, because these when resources are available, they must be spent immediately and they must be spent appropriately. So we've also increased resources. For example, for supply chain contracts, at the beginning, we earmarked 100 million euros. Now, thanks to Minister Fitto, we are modifying the parameters and will add 2 billion euros to this measure for a total amount of 2,800 million. So it means that the government is really investing so much in agriculture. In the medium run, well, let me say that resources have always been available over the years. What we have to understand is whether these resources have been spent in the right manner to really give impetus to the system, because resources have always been available. But I think that they have not been spent in the right manner. And this for a lack of strategy, lack of an agricultural vision. And this not only for the new Common Agricultural Policy, because the Common Agricultural Policy has been the result of a cut and paste strategy. I'm referring to a national agriculture strategy in order to have goals, objectives, to focus on what we want to do and how we want to do that. Resources should be optimized and spent along that direction. But of course, we still need resources to tackle climate change and to control the alien diseases which are compromising our agriculture. However, we are earmarking resources, and we are trying to identify strategies and a plan for the whole system. And it is important to work all together. It is important to involve all the sector operators. Operators have to work together, to collaborate, to cooperate in order to spend resources at best to achieve objectives. I think that teamwork is crucial. I agree with you. We are also listening to the various categories. the categories that have a better perception of what is really happening and of the needs and requirements. In this manner, we can really adjust the measures that we are developing. You know better than me that agriculture policy is designed at European level. It is then transposed at national level and then in Italy by the regions. This is why teamwork is crucial, because rules and occasions can differ. And there are also these problems, these institutional problems. However, let me say that much is being done also at regional level, and we're also developing a different approach vis-à-vis the European Commission. Our minister, Minister Francesco Lollobrigida, combined with the whole government, our minister attends meetings at European level to discuss needs and requirements of our Italian agriculture so as to modify, adjust, and review the directives. And this is what we promised. We want to defend the national interest, which means defending and protecting our businesses, our agricultural holdings as well. Well, a very short digression. I'd like to thank President Matteo Zoppas for being here with us today, because the Italian Trade Agency is very important for our federation. Italian Trade Agency contributes to the incoming meetings and also to the meetings that we organize abroad. Italian Trade Agency supports all our manufacturers in a tangible manner. So what about the situation of, what about exports, state of art? And what about the place of agriculture machinery in the scenario of Italian exports? Thank you. I'd like to extend my greetings to Undersecretary La Pietra. So we've visited the various halls and pavilions. I'd like to extend my welcome to participants attending this press conference. Well, the answer to your question is complicated. 620 billion euros is the turnover of 2022. This is the total amount of exports. The first 3 months of 2023 have been very positive. But after the first 3 months, a drop was reported. The month of July, in June, the result was a 4.1 above the result of last year, but then a dramatic drop was recorded. We are trying to understand the variables which have an impact, because forecasts are not so straightforward, are not so linear. After the COVID pandemic and after the war in Ukraine, and you know that better than me because it is very difficult to make predictions. Last August, new figures were recorded. There has been a reverse in the trend for the non-EU market, and result is equal to a plus 8%. However, the prediction made by SACE last June was based on different data. It was predicting a turnover of 670 billion euros. But if we consider the percentage reached in July with respect to last year, we'll conclude with 460 billion euros. But what we have to say is that although this might seem to be not a positive figure, we have to take into account the context of the pandemic and the war in Ukraine. Well, I come back to the question that you posed regarding your sector, and your sector falls within the agri-food supply chain. And when we speak of agri-food sector, and especially over the last years, you know that the agri-food sector uh, has always played and is still playing a crucial role at the government level. The Undersecretary mentioned Minister Lollobrigida. I took part with Mr. Lollobrigida in the Food Attraction Exhibition Fair with 2,000 exhibitors and 212 Italian exhibitors, which means that the agri-food sector, the Italian fruit and vegetable sector, is one of the most important benchmarks in the world. And your sector is directly linked, no way to say why. And this sector is very important. The sector is advanced in terms of technology, also in terms of traditions. Our entrepreneurs are a reference point at world level. Um, Turnover is increasing. We have about a 13% growth in June 2023 with respect to June 2022. In terms of exports, the result is a bit lower. With a 2.3%. However, this is a sector which is growing very well at international level. So this is a question I want to pose in my position as a president of Federal and also as an entrepreneur. Are there strategic topics that, according to you, can be a flying wheel, a potential for our companies at world level? Well, we are visiting foreign countries to gain a snapshot of what is happening, as you know. But apart from that, there are also some indications provided by the government. The government is focusing on some areas which are strategic for several reasons, and some technological developments needs are being expressed for your sector. These are areas which I'm referring to North Africa, and I'm also referring to the Balkans. Not only for the fight against pesticides, but also to maximize productions. There is a push towards identifying the most innovative technology, also taking into account the costs. But what does it mean? It means that when there are countries which are much more advanced with respect to others, especially in terms of exports, there are gaps in terms of competitiveness on the market, and this also on the basis of the quality of the product which is sold. It means that there are countries which lag behind. They are trying to reach their competitors, and they have to make huge investments in terms of technology. And the Italian technology is a technology which is taken into account by North African countries. And then there are other, we have to also to take into account the North African countries which need support in terms of development, which whose indices of productivity have to be relaunched if they want to join systems that impose specific production standards. This is why the African countries with problems of irrigation management, with water problems, are looking at our technology. And it is also the same in the Balkan countries and in other areas, especially those countries that want to join the European Union. Well, and these candidate countries have to respond to specific standards. This is why there are a lot of European funds which are used in these remote countries for so that agriculture can be renovated with introduction technology in order to reach a sufficient level of innovation. And this is a great opportunity also for the Italian entrepreneurs. I repeat it again, we are the best in the world in a lot of sectors. This is recognized by all countries. I work in the field of foreign trade, and our products are recognized in terms of quality at international level. And Italian entrepreneurs have to be good at selling our products. Our products must be competitive with respect to other products. And let me thank Federunacoma, Italian trade agency, has good relations with your federation, and when we work in team, everything works much better, because this ensures a quality also and the approach to the various operators. Because, for example, in exhibition fairs like this, our activity is to support exhibitors for the right matching with the interested buyers. Here we have about 115 exhibitors with about 30 foreign buyers. And small and medium enterprises are also the enterprises that can make the difference. And this exhibition fair can be a start, a launch of a new life for their holdings. So we've explained the role of AgriLevante in our foreign meetings. And we could also present Made in Italy. Let me close. I want to underline one more point, which is particularly appreciated by Minister Francesco Lollobrigida, which is the one about Italian gastronomy, which is the intangible heritage of UNESCO. We spoke about agri-food supply chain. We were speaking about agri-food connected to the Italian cuisine that will become heritage, intangible heritage for UNESCO, which is going to become another tool for sharing all our experience. I'd like to give the floor to the journalists. Can you explain the points that the Ministry of Agriculture is asking the European Commission to review to increase investments in the field of agriculture? I think that the Minister Fitto is working along this line, because we realize that the National Recovery and Resilience Plan showed criticalities, because there were a lot of projects, but these projects cannot be implemented in due time, because, as you know, the funds from this plan have to be reported, and the working sites and investments have to be allocated in due time. This is why Minister Fitto asked to make these changes and modifications, amendments. Among these amendments, agri-food supply chain, the value of the projects of the agri-food chain has been underlined. I'm referring to the supply chain contract, which has been funded with 800 million euros. We've got so many requests about projects, that can be implemented and carried out rapidly. Therefore, we asked to increase resources up to 2 billion euros, which is a huge sum, not only in economic terms, but also in terms of repositioning. And we put forward this request, and by 99% we'll get these resources in order to fund the supply chain contracts. Channel economy from Algeria. About North Africa, how can Italy transfer the experience in the agricultural field in North Africa? Well, focus on Algeria. That was one of my first missions with Minister Lollobrigida. We had a chance to discuss the transfer of technology. We organized training sessions on the Italian machines jointly with our Italian companies to transfer the technology that can allow choose Italian agriculture machinery, which also helps to promote our products. Well, you spoke of a program for the development of national agriculture. I'm very pleased for that. Let me ask you, does this program envisages to earmark structural and structured funds to overcome the problem of obsolete agriculture machines? Because of funds earmarked by ISMEA or by the National Resilience Recovery Plan cannot solve this problem. These funds earmark resources for methane or for electrical tractors, and this cannot solve the problem of the obsolescence of our fleet. So let me ask you, is there a date to make this law effective, the law about the modernization of agriculture machinery? Well, as I was saying before, there is an institutional system set out by European Union. Directives are then transposed at national level. Funds of the recovery fund for the purchase of electrical tractors. I also so how many electrical tractors are produced in Italy? Very, very few. Very few electrical tractors are available in Italy. So it means that when measures are developed, it's important to understand that the impact of these measures on the economic fabric. And we asked to change this rule in order to include other types of machines. Unfortunately, the European Commission replied no. Well, we might make another digression on how European Commission works on the agricultural development of the common agriculture policy and the measures included in the National Recovery and Resilience Plan. We also have an innovation fund of about 200 million euros. We've added 225 million euros more, specific for those areas which have been affected by the flood. That is another criticality, of course. Now, giving you dates, well, unfortunately, I cannot give you dates, but we are now setting out the budget law. We are working jointly with the Ministry of Economy and Finance in order to get more resources to be invested in the field of agriculture. Apart from that, and we are working on that, and hopefully budget law should allocate other resources. But as you know, the budget law will be very, very hard because we have to tackle so many problems. But what is missing is a common vision. What do we want to do? Let me give just an example. Do we want to boost, since this is a dedicated area, do we want to promote a national wheat plan? Well, this results in other consequences. I mean, the need for machines, type of fertilizations, of irrigation. We also, the problem is not only how to produce, but also where to store these products, the marketing, the bills, and so on and so forth. I am referring to an entire chain. What has been missing is a system strategy. If we're able to develop this system strategy, because it's not very easy, we cannot do that from scratch overnight. Well, in that manner, if we identify a vision, we can optimize resources. But I cannot give you a specific date. Well, it is not up to the Italian Trade Agency, but aids to foreign countries go through international cooperation tool. If there are investments abroad, together with the local companies, with the involvement of Italian capital, well, in that case, know-how can be more easily transferred. It is necessary to have a development of the Italian capital, of Italian assets, because in this manner we transfer, but we also protect what we transfer. From Macedonia.
In the future, what do you think the growing up the prices of tractors, of machinery?
Say again, sorry.
How is if it's a family budget from the farmers?
Yeah.
It's enough to buy some new tractors here in Italy.
Well, you're talking about inflation.
Yes.
The problem with inflation.
Yes.
Yeah, this is.
And what is going with the food prices here in Italy? Is going up or is stability?
Well, this may be.
Yes, first maybe.
I can tell you about the inflation. We
Yes,
have 11 point.
Yeah.
No, di sure.
And for the secretary, for the questions, what do you think about the Green Deal from European Union? You know, it's some new positioners gap. Thank you.
About the price of the tractors or the implements, of course, in the last 2 years we have seen an increasing. This is above all caused by the cost of the labor, the energy, and also of many electric components. Okay, so we cannot do nothing about this. We know that this is not good for the sales, of course. This is why we asking in order to have some support, okay, from the government. About the price of fruits, I'm not so prepared, so sorry. What I can say, but I buy the fruits and I've seen some increasing, so inflation, okay. And the last question.
The green.
Green New Deal.
The farmer to buy Italy, to buy some new tractors.
But we are fighting now. We have here, I think that you can stay here for 3-4 days with us, and at the end we will say, okay, I will give you the money. Don't worry.
Traduci anche per
Ecco. Traduco per tutti. Ho solamente detto che per quanto riguarda.
Well, I was just saying that about the increase in the cost of tractors or agricultural machinery. We know that we recorded an increase in the costs, not only in Italy but also in Europe, caused by the increase in the energy price, in the cost of labor force, and also the electrical components cost much more. We cannot do so much. I think that Italian companies, with respect to the European companies, have been able to reduce the rise in the costs. This is based on my personal experience as an entrepreneur, even though the past president said that if costs are increasing, prices too shall increase. You cannot sell machines low cost. Well, we all go errands. We buy fruits and vegetables. Prices of fruits and vegetables are rising. This is due to inflation. We hope the price rise may be limited. About the Green Deal, well, we are working. When Europe started with the launch, the Green Deal and the Farm to Fork projects, well, this pushed all the companies to get adjust. It's not very simple, but we think that agriculture per se is a sustainable sector. This is a kind of work which needs a long time. Now, I want to be very clear about the Green Deal European policies. I know that Europe plans agricultural policies through the Common Agricultural Policy, CAP. If I have to check the new CAP, the new Common Agricultural Policy, I've seen nothing positive for agriculture. We can change name. We might call it a Common Environmental Policy, but I don't think it is a Common Agriculture Policy. Why am I saying that? Because we cannot face the topic of environmental sustainability in demagogic terms, because the result that we have achieved so far is that we have penalized Italian agricultural holdings, and not only agricultural holdings in Italy, because a true environmental policy is not only based on forbidding the use of specific types of products that cause our farms to produce less and not to be without being competitive, because other farms out of the EU can import products which are produced with those pesticides which are forbidden in Europe, and those products become competitive for our products. So now, what are we going to do? We have to resort to common sense. We have to be more farsighted. We need more research. We need more innovation. We need more technology. We are here in the middle of an exhibition fair which is based on advanced technology. And if we invest in these sectors, we can reduce the impact on the environment. Unfortunately, we are obliged to use products, to use chemicals that allow us to produce because we need to produce. But this is going to be replaced if we develop research activities that design products with a lower impact on the environment. They can replace old products. This is a common sense logic. Well, Europe is based. Europe was set up on the basis of an alliance, the alliance of energy and agriculture. But the European policy failed in the energy sector and in the agricultural sector. I'm not saying that we are against Europe, which is not the case. I want to be clear, crystal clear, we are not against Europe. But what we pledge is that Europe changes its approach. It is important for Europe to be more pragmatic. We cannot live in a nice garden that is not productive in terms of foods for our citizens. This is why we have to review the new Green Deal It is true that we have to protect the environment, but we have to develop more pragmatic and common sense-based approaches.
My question is quite related to what you already answered, but I will put it in a different way. Climate change is a big problem, huge challenge for all over the Europe, for all European farmers, also Italy, mostly Italians, and also in Romania we have the same problem. My question is how the Italian authorities are dealing with this and regarding all those problems with the European Commission and with the reduction of pesticides and fertilizers and all those regularities that are coming from the European Union. And also another question is, I know that German politicians are talking about cutting completely the subsidies for European farmers. If you know something or if you want to comment. Thank you.
Per comodità sintetizzo che le due domande.
So the first question is about the climate change with special reference to what Italy can do with respect to European Commission, and Germany with the subsidies, with the cutting out of subsidies.
Next cap for the next policy, German authorities, some of the politicians are talking about cutting completely the subsidies for the farmers in Europe.
Togliere i sussidi ai coltivatori, questo sarebbe l'obiettivo, l'intento delle autorità tedesche.
So cutting out subsidies, this seems to be the proposal by the German authorities. Well, I don't know. Well, it's a way to stop agriculture. It is a way to stop fisheries. It is a way to stop animal husbandry, which is the wrong way to go. I hope in the European Parliament, which should negotiate with all European countries in order to change the paradigm vis-à-vis agriculture. We need resources to promote the agricultural system. We have to do that. We have to spend resources in the right manner. But also within European system, we need a fair competition because also the system, the way it is nowadays, creates a sort of competition which is not really fair. Unfair competition which exists also within EU member states. I think that we have to work hard, we have to modify the change, we have to shift the paradigm. Well, you know, I defend the Italian interest, the national interest, but it is also true that if we don't defend national interests jointly with all European countries, a lot of policies can fail. Policies at energy level, at agricultural level, but also in terms of safety and security, because what is missing at European level is this. What is missing is a joint approach while respecting the specificities and peculiarities of every single country. I think that in Europe, but I don't want to be wrong, I think that somewhere in Europe, someone decided to close all the animal breeding farms because of the high pollution rate. I don't know whether this can be the future for our Europe, for agriculture, our agriculture. Well, I'm going to see. I'm going to check it out. Now, let me come back. It is important to be careful with all the decisions which are taken, because 1 month ago, it was decided that glyphosate is no longer dangerous. We know that it had to be phased out. The period of use of glyphosate has been extended. The technical scientific committee decided that it is no longer dangerous. This has an impact on the farms. A lot of farms have modified their approaches on the basis of the phasing out of glyphosate, and they invested a lot of money. And you were saying it is important to use common sense. I do not have scientific data to say whether glyphosate is dangerous or not. But the point is that when laws, directives are issued, it is important to resort to common sense. Why was it decided to extend the use of glyphosate? Simply because there is no alternative which has a lower impact than glyphosate. And for some crops and productions, glyphosate can help farms. But we are not speaking of an overuse or a misuse of glyphosate, as is the case in other countries of the world, because in some countries it is used for an early ripening of wheat, and this is not a good agricultural practice. And this is not solved by simply stating, okay, let's phase out a chemical agent. The phasing out is not helpful. In contrast, it is important to study, to carry out research actions, research activities, not damage our agricultural holdings. Okay, this is it. Thank you. Thank you for being here.